Okay, so let's go into this breathing exercise. It focuses around those 10 simple deep breaths in and out. But there's a bit of kind of structure around it, and it breaks up into 5 distinct parts. It starts with what I call an alerting breath. So really deep breath in. And I take that breath really deep, to the point actually where it resembles that feeling that you get when you've been under the water at a swimming pool too long. Just a little bit of panic, your thoracic system, your adrenal system saying to your brain, whoa, pay attention. And that's exactly what I'm after, because very often when I want to do this exercise, it's when I'm really intense into something, and the first thing to do is to say to my brain and to say to my body, look, time out, we need to reconnect, we need to get back into some kind of equilibrium here. But you take that breath as deep as you want. Don't do anything that you're uncomfortable with. Having had that alerting breath, then we have the 3 breaths that I call the arrival breaths. Now, in the Buddhist tradition, again, I'm not a Buddhist, most, if not all, meditation practice is introduced with bells, with Buddhist bells. So ding, ding, ding. Now, I don't carry Buddhist bells around with me, and with this particular breathing exercise, I would like to be able to do it on the bus, for example, and going into work. I'm not going to be carrying bells around. Yeah. So instead, what I do is I just take 3 deliberate breaths in and out. Yeah, and that I call that arrival breaths, because you are transitioning from, if you like, real world into your practice. Arriving at your practice, arriving with your practice. And then we have those 10 deep breaths, no more, no less. Trying to be in contact with, be aware of, notice what's going on in body and in mind. Yeah, counting to 10, counting each breath can give you something helpful to focus on. And then we have these 3 exit breaths. Again, and these take the place of Buddhist bells, because again, in the Buddhist tradition, meditation practice is usually concluded with 3 lovely, they sound gorgeous, these 3 bells, but again, in the absence of bells, I breathe in and out 3 times. And that is an exit from the practice, if you like, back into the real world. But then the 5th element is something which I've increasingly sort of begun to introduce into my practice, which is to open my eyes and invite myself just to sit, absorb what's going on around me, maybe just for a few breaths more, 1, 2, 3 breaths more, before I then crack on with the rest of the day. So let's go through that now. Okay, we'll do it, I'll talk you through it. So again, don't worry about whether you're keeping up, whether it's going well. What I'm trying to do is just to show you, to teach you how this thing feels, how this thing works, what it looks like, what it sounds like. So again, think about your posture, straight back if you can. Deep alerting breath in. And then your 3 arrival breaths. And then we'll go into our 10 breaths proper, if you like. Yeah, so breathe in. Out. That's my 10 breaths done, so I now move into the 3 exit breaths. Before opening my eyes, just getting a sense of the world around me. Just trying to keep in touch with those feelings in my body and in my mind. Trying to hold on to those. Try perhaps to hold on to that sense of mindfulness, being in the moment, being present, being now, before then launching off into whatever it is that you need to do. Which brings us on to homework, and what I would recommend strongly between now and next week's session is that at the very least you try and get into the habit of perhaps doing 10 breaths a few times a day, perhaps morning, lunch, evening. Even better perhaps, because it's introducing a new skill, a new discipline, is to actually think about this breathing exercise as an exercise, as a thing. Now bear in mind that typically, again depending upon the rate of your breathing, but 10 breaths, good deep breaths, is typically no more than a minute. And with the extra bells and whistles of the exercise itself, it's still only about a minute and a half. So we're talking about fractions of percentages of your waking hours. Yeah, this is very, very low impact stuff in terms of time taken, but I genuinely believe, certainly speaking personally, that it's pretty high impact stuff for me in life, and it could have some benefits for you too. And I would recommend that you do it before you start work. I would recommend that you perhaps do it at lunchtime, before you start your afternoon session, and then again before your evening session. Yeah, just get into a habit if you can between now and then. 3 of these, either just 10 deep breaths or the 10 breathing practices between each day between now and next week. Okay, hope to see you next week.